What is up with the Chocolatiers? Back with another video today covering Jackpot on Amazon Prime. So Jackpot is starring Awkwafina, unfortunately, and John Cena, and basically it takes place in like the near future. I think it's like 2030 or something like that, and they have the lottery like they do. You can sign up for it, kind of like you would draw a ticket or something like that, except let's say that you win $2.6 billion. Well, now you have to survive till sunset, and people can kill you for your winning ticket. And if they do, they get that money and they win the prize right then and there. So, for example, if you get it at 8 a.m., if somebody kills you at 8:01, they get it and they win and it stops. So it's not like it keeps on going like, oh, somebody has to kill them. It's not like that. And so, of course, Awkwafina being the main character, she ends up accidentally signing up for it because she doesn't even know it's a thing, because her and her mother never watched the news, nothing like that. And so as she signs up for it by accident, now she has everybody and their mama trying to kill them. And John Cena comes into play because he is kind of like a freelancer, and so what he does is he protects you for 10% of your winnings, which is actually very smart when you think about it, because you would need protection, especially with everybody in this state of California trying to kill you. And so that's the plot. That's where we're at in this movie, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually not. Okay, I've seen a lot of hate on this movie. I kind of liked it. I don't know if this is because I've seen so much shit this past month. I really don't know. I will go and say right here, with some preface before we get deep into the review, this isn't a 10 out of 10 by no means. I'm not sitting over here jumping for joy. This movie isn't like, oh my god, but it's solid. Like, for a streaming movie, it's solid. I had some fun with it. I laughed a little bit. I was like, okay, I'm in it. And so let's go and get into the elephant in the room, Awkwafina. So I had to take myself back a little bit, and I was like, am I like biased because of other outlets? And I thought about that because a lot of times, a lot of people don't like to admit it, you're influenced by outlets, like for example maybe news media or especially social media. And I thought about it, and I was like, I always hear Awkwafina getting this hate, but I was like, there's like movies I like her in. Like, I like Shang-Chi, I like Raya and the Last Dragon, and I think there's like one or two other movies that I always forget, but I'm just saying they're up there that she's in. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm like, I was like, she does alright in those movies. Like, it's not like that was my favorite character in Shang-Chi or something like that, but she's okay in it, okay? And so I kind of like took myself back, and before I started the movie, I said, okay, I like John Cena. I said, even though I don't love her, I said, don't put any bias in this. I was like, let's go into this movie, like, with some positivity, especially because I just watched The Union before this, and I really disliked that movie. And so as I did, I was like, okay, her voice kind of, my nerves, whatever, this and that. But outside of that, and a lot of her jokes not landing, unfortunately, she's pretty good in this movie. Like, I believed her performance. I really liked that she was kind of like trying to become an actor, and I like how they're showing this dystopian type future that, like, even like that, you have to pay for acting gigs. Like, she has to drop $400 just to audition, and like if you don't get it, you just lose your $400. It's not like a down payment or something. Like, it's not like they give it back. No, like, you just lose that money. And so, going into that type of mind aspect, seeing this world, seeing what's going on, I kind of believed, I kind of at least believed her performance, John Cena, though, as I figured, was the shining outlier for this film. John Cena basically, like I said, he's like the freelancer or whatever like that, but he basically just gets to act like himself, and that's fun for now. Now 15 years down the road, when he's like The Rock, if he's acting like himself all the time and everything, might be a problem. But John Cena's got some range, after Peacemaker, even like that Ricky Stenicki stuff like that. He's more on that Ricky Stenicki level, like of how he acts. So if you've seen that movie, it's kind of like that. I actually didn't like that movie, but I do like this movie, as I've said before. So I think I like this movie because of the action and the nature of it not taking itself seriously. Like, they'll fight friggin' kung fu students, to straight up old ladies, to like teachers, to kids, whatever. Like everybody's wanting this money. And I really think the fight scenes really lend itself really well. Like, it's nothing great choreography wise. Like, it's not like, fucking, Tekken, like, fighting game tournament. It's not like that. But it is competent. It's not like shaky cam or nothing like that. I really did like that. Now, I do want to get into some of the negatives because, like I said, this movie does have some problems with me. Or at least for me, I should say. So, I don't love how everybody's not after money, even though everybody is, if that makes sense. So, even though everybody's after the money, it feels like it's only a few. So, her roommate is like pretty much like the main threat as far as like outliers go that try to get the money. And at that point, I was kind of like, okay, like her friends find her everywhere she goes, whatever, because they let you know. I forgot to say this too. They ping your location every, like, I think it's 14 minutes, and they're like, hey, this person's at this McDonald's. Go kill them, whatever. And so that's how people find out. And I was like, okay, I like that. That's believable. I was like, that's how everybody knows, because everybody, like, you're telling me every 14 minutes. But there's, like, for example, a chase scene early on in the movie, like within like the first 30 minutes, I'd say. And it's like a car chase scene, but like when they're in this warehouse, nobody's here, everything's abandoned. They're letting the location known pretty clearly, and like, you hear all this action and fighting and blowing up and fire, whatever, like Molotovs getting thrown. And like nobody else is coming out of the shadows and the woodworks, whatever. And like stuff like that was kind of like, it was kind of throwing me off, like of the immersion, because I was kind of sitting there like, so ain't nobody finna jump on nothing, ain't nobody finna get nobody, whatever like that. But outside of that, though, that's still a minor complaint in the grand scheme of things. I think that this movie, there's a particular scene where they're in like a panic room. I think it's really, really good, actually. And outside of that, I think overall, like I've said, I think this movie is good for a streaming movie. Now, if this went to theaters, I'd probably whatever. But as a streaming movie, I sat down and I had fun, it's definitely one of the better movies of the month, surprisingly, for me at least. And last but not least, got to touch on the final kind of negative thing. Actually, not kind of negative. It is negative. I gotta be honest, okay? So Simu Liu, I love him in Shang-Chi. I have not seen him play in anything else that I've liked him in. I'm so sorry. I haven't watched that stupid J-Lo movie where he's like the villain, but like, dude, this man plays so many villains. He's like the villain role now, like villain Ken, villain this, J-Lo villain movie. So he plays the same in everything he's in. He's the same in this. And there's like a twist. I'm not going to spoil it for you because I actually do think this movie's enjoyable, so I want you to go into it with a little less knowledge. But long story short, he is the villain. And it's just like, the motivation's there. It makes sense what he's doing. I was like, oh shit, that's smart as hell. I'll probably do that same thing. But it's just his performance. Like, I'm just like, okay. Like, there's so many times where he, like, makes jokes about him being Asian to the point where I was starting to, like, kind of, like, physically cringe. And I was like, okay, I'm not laughing. I'm not. Because, Awkwafina's Asian. And so he brings that up, like, multiple times. He's like, our Asian heritage brought us here. And I'm just like, okay. And I kind of expected that because from the guy who made the female Ghostbusters movie, and that movie's full of problems and it's kind of shitty. Like I said, I don't think this movie is shitty, but like stuff like that was starting to slim through the cracks. I said, oh, here we fucking go. I said, here we fucking go. And like, it's just, I don't know, like it's like, that's where the movie kind of did for me. Like that third act is just kind of like awful. There's so much stuff that happens that doesn't make any fucking sense. So much like shoehorning and goofy shit, and I was like, oh, I said they really try to have you in the first half, and they try to shit in the end. But I will say this though, Ninja Turtles saved this movie for me. Whenever you watch this movie, you're gonna know what the fuck I'm talking about. That really saved it for me. There's a scene with some Ninja Turtles I thought was funny as fuck, and I think the end credit scene's actually not that bad. But overall, like I said, outside those complaints, this is not a bad movie, by no means. I don't think it's awful like I've been hearing. I don't think it's a piece of dog shit like I've been hearing. I don't think it's you know, a 10, like I keep saying. But I do think that it deserves a solid score. And so for Jackpot, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Now, I know you're probably like, oh, 6.5 is kind of low. No, it's not. 6.5, a 6 is above average, okay? 6.5 is above average, okay? I don't think this is a 7 just because I feel like the third act loses 2 points for me easily. I think if the third act wasn't like that, I think this could have easily been a 7.5, like dead ass. That third act though, that shit needed some tweak bad. Stupid shit that happens. Like, you got all these people running after her, and like nobody can kill her. And I'm just like, it was believable the first 30-40 minutes, because it's like, okay, whatever, like John Cena's here protecting her. But like, there's so many situations where she kind of gets into fights with her own, and I'm like, there's no fucking way she's holding her own. I don't give a fuck. But outside of that, I do think you should go watch this film if you have Amazon Prime. If you don't, I wouldn't rush. Like, I wouldn't be like, oh man, you gotta get Prime to get this. I wouldn't do that. But if you don't have Amazon Prime, I mean, if you do have Amazon Prime, I think you should go watch this. If you have that and Netflix and your choice is this or the Union, do this for sure. You'll have a lot more fun. Action scenes are a lot more fun and creative. Outside of that, I hope that you guys like and subscribe. And please comment down below and let me know your thoughts on this video and the movie itself if you've seen it. And with that, I will catch you guys on the next one.
Turtle, power!
I love my popcorn. Movies, popcorn.